One of the costliest snowstorms in Texas just occurred. So, where do we go from here?
A new kind of race is underway at the Texas Motor Speedway, one for the Moderna vaccine.
And a break from weather, a peaceful walk in the park on tonight's North Texas road trip.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV Nightly News.
Thanks for joining us on ntTV Nightly News. I'm Michelle Brooks.
And I'm Kayla Holt. 76 people have died as a result of last week's winter storm. Residents across the state are still recovering from damages. Many Texans faced water pipes bursting, boiling their tap water, and hours without electricity. ntTV's Michaela Goose has more details on the damages UNT's campus took.
Or Snowvid-19, but others are calling it a week they will never forget. No water, no electricity, and freezing temperatures caused problems Denton residents never saw coming.
You know, I don't think we really realized it was going to be that bad until we started seeing the rolling blackouts. We were prepared for cold weather. Our systems generally could handle it, even down into the single digits. We might see a broken pipe here or there, but when you throw in that lack of power, it's a game changer.
And the game was definitely changed. The rolling blackouts and freezing temperatures caused almost all of UNT's websites to go down and buildings across campus to go without heat or water, and that was only the beginning.
Yeah, biggest thing is that they've had to bring those down because of the on-again, off-again nature of the power, and our generators unable to keep up with the cold. Generators just really could not handle the fact that we were down into the single digits for extended period of time. So diesel fuel problems, generator core, the blocks, the oil, all those kind of things, struggling with those cold temperatures.
Students living on campus were also feeling the strain of the once-in-a-century blizzard.
So during the day, it was kind of more like summer or winter camp, just kind of chilling with friends, like playing games, like card games, whatever. But at night, it was kind of stressful when the alarms kept going off because the alarms kept malfunctioning. There was no power, so it was just dark. I couldn't sleep.
But UNT managed to rise above the strain and push through. Certain dining halls were able to stay open for the winter storm and keep students fed.
Each day was a victory followed by a setback, and some of the setbacks we were looking at was obviously no heat inside the dining room, limited power to some of our equipment. Always when there's an inclement weather condition, there is our resource of staffing becomes somewhat of an issue, but we were able to get a pretty strong plan together. Our directors really stepped up and made sure that we kept the main thing, which was good food and good service during the closure.
Texas continues to recover from the storm, and Denton residents are doing the same. For ntTV News, I'm Michaela Goose.
Last week's snowstorm has affected many of the homes of North Texas students. Unfortunately, 3 sorority houses were reported to be flooded. About 12 to 15 buildings across UNT's campus have been affected because of last week's winter storms. This includes pipe bursts, water loss, and flooding. Of those affected, 3 sorority houses were reported flooded: Delta Gamma, Zeta Tau Alpha, and Alpha Delta Pi. Since the flooding, the women had to immediately move out for repairs to begin. The university is actively placing those women into vacant dorms for the remainder of the spring semester. Now inside the houses, there are fans and tubes of air to help dry the rooms from the floodings. UNT Facilities is hoping to have all the repairs done by the end of the semester or sooner. Certainly the impact of this storm on the UNT campus was severe. Dr. Andrea Miller, Dean of the Mayborn School of Journalism and Chair of Media Arts, says it also underscores the importance of a strong on-campus infrastructure.
The university and the entire state of Texas was not expecting the power infrastructure to suffer like it did. And so that is a whole nother set of things that happened that the university is going to have to look at and prepare for in the future, as we are going to have to do as individuals.
The work on campus is continuing, but there are still buildings that are having water and heating issues.
case you need a reminder, the snowstorm last week broke temperature records across the state of Texas. As snow blanketed in for over 2 days, it didn't take long before it turned into ice. Many stores had to close because Texans are not used to driving in extreme weather conditions. To be the costliest storm in Texas history. According to the Insurance Council of Texas, estimated losses could surpass the damage from Hurricane Harvey.
Hey Kayla, I guess we both got the spring memo though.
Yes, it looks like we might not be spring yet, but
Coming up it will be. I am very hopeful. Let's head to Hannah and see what the upcoming week does look like. Hannah?
Thanks, Michelle and Kayla. Unfortunately, this nice weather won't be with us too much longer. I'll get into that later on in the 7-day forecast. But right now, if we take a look at the current conditions in Denton, we can see it sits nicely at 74 degrees. Does feel a bit cooler at 70 due to the southern wind speed coming at 16 miles per hour. If we take a look at tonight's conditions, it will remain clear, but it will drop down a bit at 68 degrees. Now tomorrow the sun will stay with us. It won't be as warm as what we saw today. It will be 64, but feel a bit cooler at 62. That's all I have for weather right now. Back to y'all at the desk.
Thanks, Hannah. The issue now under investigation by state lawmakers is the catastrophic failure of the power grid in Texas. This is a map of the Texas power grid. It's operated by ERCOT and operates 90% of all the electric power in the state. The breakdown in the statewide power system has also led to a lawsuit filed by the parents of an 11-year-old boy who died during the storm. The question now before Texas lawmakers is whether a new form of regulation and oversight might be needed to prevent such a disaster in the future. Dr. Matthew Eshba Soha says the issues are very complicated.
But in terms of, party politics, there are fundamental differences in terms of how Republicans and Democrats look at regulating the economy. The state of Texas doesn't have a lot of regulation. This is a really good example. Do we really expect Republicans who are still in charge of the executive, judicial, and legislative branches to do something about this? Or is this a public relations campaign? Governor Abbott, as this is happening, he's blaming ERCOT, but not taking responsibility and not pushing something forward. So I think there will be a review. This sort of lawsuit might help to keep the story in the news. It might put additional pressure on legislators and the governor to do something, but it would require a restructuring of how we look at energy regulation and frankly, regulation of many different industries in the state of Texas. And I'm not sure that, Republicans, Rick Perry, tweeted out, we'd rather have, most Texans I know would rather go 3 days without power than have the federal government involved in their business. I think that's a strong signal. Somebody who's not currently under fire, not being an active representative, but still, I wouldn't be surprised if that's a common refrain among key Republicans.
Those power outages not only left people in the dark, but also left many Denton residents in fear over the future of the prices of their electricity bill. ntTV's Andrew Fancher has an update on what Denton residents are going to pay.
Did experience the rolling blackouts, and of course the reason for those was a demand by ERCOT, the Energy Reliability Council of Texas, that we shed load.
Winter Storm Uri swept over Texas on Valentine's weekend. 2 days later, she was accompanied by Winter Storm Viola, inflicting the largest state blackout since 2011.
We had to purchase more power in the last 4 days than we have had the past 3 years. So it's a 10,000% increase.
The sudden increase in power has raised a glaring question for Denton County residents. Will the electric bill remain constant?
This month that we're in, we're all going to be billed at the rate that we already had in place, right? The rate that the city council set during the last budget cycle.
To escape the winter crisis, Denton County pulled a short-term loan of an undisclosed amount. City Council will host another meeting on Tuesday to determine whether more money is needed.
So the county would receive money for the cities, and then we would receive it from the county. In that instance, this short-term loan, we don't have this long kind of payment due that we can then, so we can address it that way.
Our elected officials hope to get the necessary resources for our city. For ntTV News, I'm Andrew Fancher.
The impact of FEMA is already being felt in the Lone Star State. The presidential declaration opens up federal help in many ways besides help with the COVID vaccination efforts. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki outlined what is coming into Texas now.
The president has asked FEMA to do everything it can to rapidly distribute aid to the state of Texas. So far, more than 1 million meals have been shipped to Texas. More than 4 million liters of water have been shipped to Texas. The Department of Defense fixed-wing aircraft continue to deliver water in bulk to multiple locations in Texas. They've completed 9 missions so far, with an additional 10 missions planned for today. 69 emergency generators and more than 120,000 blankets have been delivered to Texas.
And word that this afternoon, President Biden and his wife, Dr. Jill Biden, will be heading to Houston on Friday. The first couple will visit recovery centers and talk with Texas impacted by the storm.
Coming up, we have information on a massive 18-wheeler crash.
And getting a COVID vaccination has just become a lot easier. Stay tuned.
Earlier this morning, an 18-wheeler collided with a train, causing 3 tanker cars loaded with fuel to explode. Crews arrived on the scene and found the train's car overturned and inflamed homes located near the incident. In Cameron, Texas, where Cameron, Texas homes were evacuated immediately due to extreme heat. Cars at the rear of the train were also loaded with hazardous material but weren't affected by the collision. Officials say there were no hazmat issues on the scene. The 18-wheeler driver survived this incident and there were no injuries reported.
Isn't it crazy how we go from iced roads to full sunshine in a week?
It's truly a mystery to me. I will never get it, but that is Texas. I'm just grateful for the break from the blizzard last week.
I know, it's still so crazy to me how many people were affected. Let's head over to Hannah to see how temperatures have changed across the region since. Hannah?
Thanks, guys. If we look across North Texas, we can see Denton remains the same at 74, but then we see cities like Decatur, Paris, and Bowie all sitting at 80 degrees, and then Graham reaching 85. Now, if we zoom out and look across the state, we can see Oklahoma City and El Paso at 71, Abilene reaching 79, and Austin reaching 78. Now, if we move into the 7-day forecast, I mentioned earlier that tomorrow will be sunny with a high of 64 and a low of 38, but then on Thursday, we will see a 60% chance of rain with a high of 49 and a low of 40. Now, if we skip into Sunday, we will actually see a 50% chance of thunderstorms with a high of 62 and a low of 48. Monday, we will still see a 50% chance of rain, but it will clear up a bit with a high of 55 and a low of 41. And then Tuesday, the sun will peak out a bit with a high of 61 and a low of 45. That's all I have for weather tonight. Back to y'all at the desk.
After the inclement weather from last week, hundreds of people had to delay their vaccine shot.
But as the state recovers, the vaccination super site at the Texas Motor Speedway gets ready to resume the process. We have Andy Fancher on site with more. Andy?
Thanks, y'all. Now, on Monday, the U.S. surpassed 500,000 deaths as a result of COVID-19, with 3,000 from Tarrant County alone. Now, a vaccine super site is set to reopen behind me. The Texas Motor Speedway will initiate a new kind of race tomorrow, one for people who need their second dose of the vaccine. The Speedway has postponed thousands as a result of Winter Storm Uri and Viola last week. Now, they expect to give 3,000 shots of Moderna from 6:30 a.m. to noon tomorrow. Come Thursday, 11,000 shots will be distributed from 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., with 9,000 more on Friday. Denton County is expected to provide free bus transportation to the Texas Motor Speedway. And those who want their second dose must have a pre-existing appointment through the DCPH vaccine portal. Denton County will resume their first dose appointments this coming Monday. That's all from the Texas Motor Speedway. Kayla, back to you.
Thanks, Andy. Transportation to a vaccination center should not be an inconvenience. The Denton County Transportation Authority thinks the same. Beginning this Friday, they will be offering Denton residents free rides to Texas Motor Speedway. Those interested need to show a proof of vaccine appointment and call DCTA customer service to arrange the ride.
Well, the weather may have been on the cold side last week, but with spring right around the corner, what better way to enjoy the nice weather than being outside soaking in the sun and nature? Our own Nomi Sanchez has more in tonight's North Texas road trip.
Listen up, all my nature lovers. If lakes, walking trails, and parks are something of interest to you, then the Longhorn Benbrook Lake is sure to impress.
With a lake as vast as the view can see, Longhorn Park is good for fishing, picnicking, or just for watching the sunset. One of the best features, though, has got to be the trails, which run for many miles. Their true beauty comes later at night, though, when the sun sets and the city lights come on.
One thing not many people may know about this park, though, is that apart from its scenic views, Longhorn Park is home to the Army Corps of Engineers, which actually reside right here in this building behind me, and their job is pretty much to regulate lake levels when they get too high or too low.
Fort Worth residents have even shown their love for this park through social media, from camping to fishing to even showing a pup's first snow. With COVID still around, this park has offered residents a way to go out without worry. Here's how Longhorn Park has kept locals busy.
The main thing that I do when I come here is look at the scenic views and the sunset that they have. And I also go on the hiking trails. And during the summer, I go down into the boat unloading station and I take out my...
Well, Nomi, it sure looks like you found the ideal park with beautiful trails and lots of sunshine and water. Could this park be any more amazing?
Well, to answer your question, Michelle, yes it can. Apart from what we just saw, this park actually creates a magical view at night because after the daylight's gone, the Fort Worth city lights come on. But that is something you'll have to see for yourself when you visit Fort Worth.
Thanks, Naomi. Coming up, we'll get to see how a hawk is helping local businesses.
And a local artist does her part in keeping Denton beautiful. We'll be right back.
We've all heard that birds fly south for the winter to stay warm. And with so many birds being all in one area, it poses for problems for people and businesses.
ntTV's Nathan Mayer joins us with more on how this problem is being fixed.
You're right, guys. Abatement is the solution to that problem. I got a chance to talk with Patrick Johnson, a master falconer and the founder of Frontier Wildlife Control. He told us about his career and how bird abatement works. Falcons have been used for centuries as a tool for hunting and providing food to their owners through the art of falconry. However, starting in the early 2000s, a new use for this species gained in popularity. This new form of falconry is called bird abatement.
Bird abatement is when you want to get rid of nuisance birds that are harassing us, basically, either by smelling real bad or pose safety hazards to transportation or people in general.
Those big black birds that you've seen in your grocery store parking lot and on the power lines by the gas station are one of those nuisance birds called grackles.
Here in Texas, we have a lot of problems with grackles and starlings and cowbirds, just because they will mass up in huge numbers, and you might have 5,000 grackles all together in 2 or 3 trees, and that's when the Harris hawks come into play.
A Harris hawk stems from the Accipitridae family, which means that it is related to both the red-tailed hawk and the most well-known bird in the country, the bald eagle.
We'll go in, we fly at nighttime, and they go into the tree and they try to grab a grackle, and all the other grackles leave immediately because they don't want to end up as the hawk's dinner, basically. And after 3 to 5 nights of this, the grackles leave and they're no longer a nuisance. They relocate to another area. The majority of my work is usually relocating grackles, starlings, and cowbirds. We also do some pigeon work.
Patrick received his falconry license from the Texas Hawking Association, where he is a member, and says that if anyone is interested in learning more about becoming a falconer and what they do, to reach out to the organization, as they're always looking for new interested members. For ntTV, I'm Nathan Mayer. That was a great opportunity for me to learn about falconry, and if you're interested in learning more about Patrick and what he does, visit frontierwildlifecontrol.com.
And just a little closer to home, a local artist is using her talent to touch Denton roadways. Check it out.
The Adopt a Vet program has been around since 1993, and Judy has been an adopter since we began.
Longtime Dentonite Judy Smith has been using functional art in unique ways to keep Denton beautiful.
I picked this spot because it's someplace I drive by all the time. It took me 2 months just to get it clean. It was so badly littered and silt built up, but once I got it clean, then I started decorating it. And so to me, it was almost like my own personal little art gallery that I just changed whenever I got a whim. And what was fun about it was so many people react to it.
Judy's decorations not only catch people's attention, but are also meaningful to many.
A little girl who died in 2011, after she died, her family came to me with her shoes and asked me if I would put her shoes on the wall because she loved to drive by and see the wall. And I said I'd love to. So her shoes are there, and I made a sign for her of the years of her life. And the neatest thing is her father now mows the adopt-a spot for me and for her.
And for Judy, that's what it's all about.
Everybody can do this. Everybody can make their own little mark. And that's what I like to do in my own small way. I like to do something that when I'm gone, somebody will remember I was here.
Not only does Judy decorate her spot with art, she also decorates for holidays. You can check out next season's decor in July for the 4th.
Wow, Michelle, that was really a touching story and a great way to recycle old things.
I know, she really has an eye for treasures, and I just love that about her. Well, we've talked about weather and heard about the community, so let's head over to sports with Justin Ballou, our anchor, to hear about what's happening in the sports world. Justin?
Thanks, Michelle. Stay tuned to sports for breaking news regarding a golf legend and a recap of the UNT soccer game. And before our last break, let's take a look at some more resources that may help those that have been affected by the winter snowstorms. Golf legend Tiger Woods was injured in a single vehicle rollover collision this morning in Los Angeles. Woods was hospitalized for his leg injuries and went into surgery a few hours ago. The county sheriff department said that his vehicle suffered major damage. His vehicle traveled a long distance across traffic before it eventually stopped in a field. Now, Woods was originally in California for the Genesis Invitational Golf Tournament that ended over this weekend and was golfing with stars like Dwayne Wade just a few days ago. Woods has become famous for major comebacks throughout his career, and we all certainly hope that he can come back from this and add another major comeback to his accomplishments. The UNT soccer team opened up their 2021 season with a 7-0 win at LSU Alexandria. The Mean Green outshot the Lady Generals 42-2 and put up over half their shots on target. They also scored 5 of their 7 goals in the second half. Newcomer Connor Barker led the team with a pair of goals and scored her first goals as an Eagle. Berkeley Peters scored for the 26th time of her career and is now only 4 goals away from entering the top 10 in program history. The Mean Green have extended their season opener unbeaten streak to 15 in a row and are back in action on Sunday against Texas State. While the UNT soccer team got to play this weekend, the 2 basketball teams did not. Both the men's and women's series against Western Kentucky were postponed indefinitely due to the snowstorms last week. So what does this mean for each team? Well, the women are second in the division and 1 game back of the first place Rice Owls in the division. And luckily for UNT, Rice split their series last weekend, so UNT didn't lose any ground in the division. Next weekend's games are very important to see if the team can overtake the Owls in the division. Now, the men's team entered the weekend in the division in first place and finished in first place after UAB split their weekend series. UNT is in a 3-way tie atop the division, but are granted the tiebreaker based on winning percentage in Conference USA. The CUSA regular season title was potentially on the line against Western Kentucky, but the Mean Green will still control their own destiny the rest of the season for the Western Division. That's all I've got for sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
Help for Texans has come from many sources, some rather unexpected. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are supporting a Dallas women's shelter that was badly damaged. It's the Genesis shelter that serves more than 3,700 women and children each year. It was very badly damaged by the storms and was forced to shut down for the first time in 40-year history. But with a large donation from the former Royals charity called the Archwell Foundation, the Dallas nonprofit will be able to repair its roof and make other necessary repairs to continue their work.
What a great organization to donate to, Kayla.
I
I'm
agree.
really glad that they're helping them. Last week when I did have power, every time I scrolled through social media, so many people were caring for Texas.
I know, it was great. I saw like people from California, my friends out there, just sending some support. Really great.
Thanks for joining us on ntTV Nightly News.
Join us again tomorrow night at 6 here on North Texas Television.